was we were kind of getting into like a conversation about the whole feminism like movement last week, and the more I hear about it, you've kind of opened my eyes to it. Is like the term doesn't even make sense.
Hey guys,
and then there's so many different meanings for it as well.
He's getting red pilled. I'm bringing him over to the dark side, the red pill side.
Like, there's just so many different like.
Bro, you've been blue pilled this whole time, but now you're red.
Take the blue pill. Stay in Wonderland. You take the red pill.
Yeah, you woke, cuz you woke.
Yeah, it's just interesting, man.
Stay in Wonderland.
Yeah, I mean, most men are in Wonderland. They don't really want to face the realities of like dating and
they choose not to accept it.
For sure. Sure. They think everything's rainbow and roses, and like, no, it's not.
And it's like, but one of the things we spoke about is like what we're looking for as men, and a lot of people, I didn't even realize this, is like we're looking for like a nurturing, caregiving like type of woman.
Yeah, more times than not, for sure.
And the woman is looking for a provider, protector,
leader. Yeah,
a leader. You know, so,
yeah, the most traditional senses for sure.
Do you think most men feel this way?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I'm asking because clearly I don't fit that mold.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, and that brings up a great question of like how, like with you being dominant and the majority of the things that you do, like how is it that you, like if you were to be with a guy that is that way or looking for that, like how would you deal with that?
I mean, I guess
knowing that you're bold, right?
Yeah.
Bold. That's an understatement.
I usually don't have very many issues, so I don't know. Maybe they just want sex. I don't know. But,
well, most highly attractive women don't have a lot of issues. That makes sense.
But does that kind of thing, does that scare men away? Like, is that a thing?
Well, being too bold?
I could see it could probably be a deterrent.
Yeah, I mean, I would tell you right now, it's off-putting for me. Not you as a person, but like just if you need to. And again, this is me,
right?
But
I mean, Kelsey is, she's very nurturing. I look at her.
Oh yeah,
job,
Kelsey is actually the perfect balance of what I would need in life for a partner.
I agree.
That was part of the conversation that started this entire podcast.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
She's definitely very much up your alley for sure.
Yeah, and your name came up in that conversation. By
the way.
Well, it was the three of us, myself, David, and Kelsey. We were talking about things, and we were talking about a similar subject, and we talked about femininity. And I told Kelsey, I said, Kelsey, listen, you are, the feminine one of your siblings. And she was like, wait, you think I'm the most feminine? And I was like, yeah, absolutely. She said, no, Amber is for sure.
I think she's getting caught up by just the media looking at femininity instead of.
She might be thinking like more on the outside. Just,
right.
I wear dresses a lot.
That's what she said.
Heels.
Amber's the one that wears the dresses, and she, puts the makeup on, and her hair is always nice, and she looks great. And I was like, well, that is a surface level femininity.
Right.
There's something internal, that really defines femininity, and I think, Kelsey, that you are definitely the definition.
I would actually agree. I would agree with that.
Yeah, she's the nurturer. She's Amber, you're a boss bitch. You're tough as nails. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't want to sit across from a board meeting or a negotiation with you. I'd probably lose.
I was about to say, because at that point nothing is going to be off limits, right? It's going to be like it's going to be professional for sure.
True.
And take it from a person that has had to deliver messages that knowing that they're not going to be received well.
That's what you do.
Yeah.
I don't know how you do it.
I mean, it is what it is.
I would be exhausted every day.
It pays for what I needed to pay for it. But
right.
That being said, like, going into a meeting where, because I won't say any names, but I work with, I would say the majority of my team is alpha women that I work with.
Yeah.
And for my normal job, and it's been an awakening to watch that happen, because like part of like traditionally, especially in the industry that I work in, you see women you don't really see women in a leadership role, and that is a very historical proven.
In your line of work.
In my line of work, yes.
Right.
So that being said, there has been this mass insurgence of pushing for equality within this workspace over the last, say, 10 years. And it's been great because, like I fully embrace the aspect of let the best person lead.
Yeah.
And fortunately, I am now lined up with a team that we meld so well. We're great. Now, granted, we all have our own kind of pitfalls in a way of saying, but like seeing that is great. But going back to the women aspect in the workforce, there's been such a focus on it. Most industries that outside of beauty and whatnot has been a male-driven industry.
Definitely your industry.
Yeah. So to see women, which this industry is finance, but I won't say any names beyond that. To see women in this industry or in meetings, more importantly, you see them in this, and they are jockeying to talk over one another because they need to assert their dominance. They need to establish themselves because of
they're overcompensating.
Because of this outlook, the hierarchy, the establishment, if you will,
right,
that people are just accustomed to, and they're trying to change the narrative, which is beautiful.
Yeah.
So, but being one of like the few guys on the team, and you're sitting back and you're looking at it and you're like, I ain't gonna say a word. I'm gonna let this happen.
Women can be fierce.
Oh, dude, you have no idea. Well, you do.
I have a little bit of an idea.
I was about to say because you are full woman. But that being said, like to sit back and watch these people, like, I say this jokingly, but like there's been side conversations being like, all right, are these two gonna stop? Because like I want this meeting to end because I gotta go to the bathroom. But they're snickering over or tick attack over some dumb shit that does not need to be. But they're so strong, overcompensating about what their point of view is, what their narrative is, and it's like we get it. We get it.
Let's move on.
We done got off of what we really need to accomplish.
Yeah.
And we're focusing on these little dumb things. Yeah. And that's not good.
Right.
And when you said overcompensate, man, I've seen it.
Yeah.
My own, like when I worked at the Postal Service.
And guys do it too, though.
Oh, yeah. We all do. Of course.
Yeah, because it's ego, right?
Yeah, it's ego. Right. And that's another thing we've touched on. Like women have an ego.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Women do have an ego as well.
I mean, I'd be curious to hear about Amber's ego.
Oh, we all know about my ego.
I mean, the people don't.
What you mean? What?
Yeah.
Kind of a big ego, I guess.
But how do you wear it? Like, how do you walk around with that?
How do I?
Huge smile.
Yeah. When do you say no? When do you take that constructive feedback? When do you like progress?
It's been.
I don't. Good question.
It's definitely a learned trait.
Mm-hmm.
So
ego is or
no, like learning to tone it down.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Learning to tone it down.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Because I have a lot of opinions, and I want to be heard, but you got to tone it down sometimes. Be respectful, and
Wow.
You know what?
That's great advice.
And I'm not always right.
Wow.
And so,
but let's be clear about the tone it down part.
Like you just gotta learn. You just gotta learn to listen.
Wow.
Okay.
Gotta learn
no,
to
that's
listen.
great. That's great.
Wow.
And I think that applies to both sexes.
Oh,
yeah.
for
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
sure.
This is just like these are gems. You're dropping
dude.
gems right now.
Yeah, it's like this is like she's not even mining. She's just giving us polished diamonds right now.
Oh yeah, bro.
For real.
Not even
You gotta learn to listen. I'm like, bro, that's what we've been speaking about
got
for
those
months.
lyrics right now.
Yeah.
I wish.
I learned it in the sales world, actually.
Okay.
I don't know if you guys have ever taken like the DISC test or whatever. Do you know what that is?
No.
Oh, I've taken it. Yeah.
It's a personality test.
Okay.
So I'm a DI. It's DISC. So D is dominant, I is influencer.
Okay.
Which is really good for sales, which is what I've been doing for the last 10 years. But
what was the other meaning of the other two?
Steadiness and like conscientiousness or something like that.
I think I was like an IC or something like that.
So yeah, like C's are very analytical. S's are very they're more like a support role. You know,
Okay.
more, more calm, tame, whatever.
Yeah.
I's talk a lot. D's are like your alphas, I guess.
They're a big D.
Big D. So I had a friend once tell me, I was just getting into sales and he had been doing it a while, and he's like, listen, he's like, your biggest mistake is you just gotta learn to listen. Like you gotta let people talk.
Well, I think that's
So,
that's
it's like,
typical
how?
salesman trait though. Like, you wanna deliver your message, but you wanna do it before you get the no. Right?
Yeah. Well,
Which I think is traditionally the salesman role. So but now, like, and especially with the business that you've formulated and this level of service that you're trying to deliver, I think that nurtures that aspect of you trying to like be that person that listens when they speak. So you're actually delivering at the request, but above that request, right?
Well, people like to talk about themselves, so it's pretty. So it's pretty easy, So just let people talk, and you just listen, and you'll be the best salesman. So because people like to talk about themselves, that's just how it goes.
Knowing when to actually just chime in
And then
just a little bit.
Yes,
Yeah.
Give little tidbits here and there. Maybe get a good chuckle, something like that.
Not the corporate laugh, not the. Do I keep on going? No. Yeah, it's so fake.
No, you want to be genuine for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, you definitely have to be cognizant of that. And so there's times I catch myself, I'm like, wow, I'm talking about myself too much right now. Like I'm feeling actually a little bit, like a lot of eyes on me right now, and I'm not really used to that.
Well, I mean, you are our guest, right?
You are the special guest, Amber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to know what your definition of feminism is.
Ooh, it's a great question.
Do you consider yourself a feminist?
No.
Good.
No, not at all.
Great answer. I like it.
No, not at all. I just because I think we're all humans, and so I don't see male, female. I don't see color. I don't see. I mean, obviously, I date both sexes. Like, I don't even see any of that.
Sure.
Okay.
So people are just people to me.
You're like the old school George Carlin. You're like an equal opportunity offender.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
But what is your definition of feminism?
Honestly, I don't even have an answer for that. That's
Okay,
pretty.
okay.
Yeah. So
Well, and like, because that's what I was saying was like, there's so many different definitions, and like one of the ones that
like women's
it's like a
rights
moving target, right?
Whatever.
Yeah, one of the ones that what was it that you told me, Chris? It was the
I think the common definition is what equality for men.
Equality
and women?
for women.
Yeah, equality of rights, right?
Okay.
Having the same a woman having the same rights as a man, and I agree with that. I think
I agree with that. I think
women
we should all have the same rights.
right, and we're kind of at that. We're kind of there.
but
Right
it's
now.
kind of turned
it's pretty
into
close.
teaching women to be more like men in some aspects.
Right. So we had we did have a little conversation about this, and we were talking about how the definition of feminism is such an odd thing, and the naming convention is weird too. Like if I were an alien and I came to Earth and I studied human history and I got to the point of feminism, you know what I would say? I'd be like, oh, so you guys have a movement that teaches women to be more feminine. It's a feminizing movement, and we'd be like,
That's what
no,
you would think. That's
no,
what you would
because
think.
feminism actually teaches women to be more like men. Yes, it teaches
Crazy.
women to strive and achieve the same goals as men, which is fine. I think women should have equal rights. The naming convention is a little weird. Like,
Do you think that that's partly because women, in a way of saying, have been so repressed over the years?
it's the
Oh,
whole
for sure.
it's the whole
That's the
overcorrection
backbone.
that
Yeah.
we talked
Yeah.
about. It's a pendulum swinging the other way, and that
Yeah.
goes to what you were talking about earlier about driving women into certain career fields.
Yep.
You were saying there's a movement to get women more into your.
a large push for sure.
Listen, the funny thing is, there's no push to get men into female-dominated career fields. You're not going to see a push to get men to be more men in teaching, or more men in nursing, or more men in social work or counseling. Why is there no? If feminism is truly about equality across
Why
the
isn't
board,
it going both ways?
why are women
Yeah.
not pushing men to move towards female-dominated career fields.
Well, I think I
don't think
could.
it's about equality.
Not
though.
about equality.
But you could argue that it is in a way. And the only thing that I can think of is compensation, because historically they've been undercompensated.
Yeah.
Yes.
Gotcha.
You know, in some situations, depending on, you know, outside of gender, but
Yeah.
you know, race or whatever.
Yep.
You know, 30% less on average.
Yeah, I was going to
you
ask
know,
you, what's
Yeah.
the stat on that now?
So I don't know what it is. I would have
just
to look it
curious.
up. But the last time I looked, it was, you know, offset about a 30% less
Oh, we're not
compensation.
We're not getting closer
Wait,
to.
you mean for
Well, I'm sure that the
we
gap's
are.
narrow.
you mean
The
the
gap is
the
narrowing,
pay
Women-
you mean
sure.
the pay gap?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
women were making less.
Okay.
Historically, they were making roughly about 30% ish less
That's
than what men were. Now,
that's not a thing anymore.
Yeah, it's
right,
much
right.
closer
That's
now.
closed.
Yeah,
but
it's closed.
but
for
I'm
It's
sure
not
that was the
completely
large factor
irrelevant.
of the driving force behind why there was a push.
No, you're absolutely right. But I think in 1964 is when they made it illegal to pay people different wages for the same job based off of gender. So it's been illegal to do that for about
Yeah, but you can argue a lot of things being illegal,
Oh,
but
yeah.
they
Sure,
still
whether or
have it
not-
in practice.
Yeah, whether or not it's
Yeah.
it's been put into practice is, you know, I'm sure there are still some biases out there.
Right.
But it's not in a company's best interest to pay women less because they're women. In fact, if I owned a corporation and I could get away with paying women 80 cents to the dollar compared to a man, I'd only hire women. I'd make a 20% margin based off of my my wages, my salary cap, if I only hired women. So it's really not the whole pay gap is right now, it's non-existent. It's a myth, right?
Right. That's what I was curious about.
It did exist at one point.
Yep.
But we're
did.
talking like 50, 60 years ago. And that's not a long time. I
Well, now
get it.
there's like programs and grants and things for women-owned businesses.
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, there's a push in that direction.
Yeah.
That's good stuff, man.
Yeah.
So, what's the end game for a boss chick?
What is it?
Yeah.
What's the end game?
That's another question I wanted to
Oh,
pose.
retire early.
Amber, what's
That's a
yeah,
great
that
question.
What is my personal goal?
Well,
Is that
So retire early is a great
I-
end game. Most boss women or most women who believe that they are boss material, they're not going to do it. I mean, I think the average average income for a female in America is about $45,000 a year. Right?
You're
That's
kidding me.
not
that's
that
the
high.
average. That is the average.
Wow,
for
that's
black women.
sad.
Black women, it's like 42,000. So I'm thinking
that's
for
really
like
sad.
other, it's probably a little bit higher, maybe 45, 48. So a lot of these women who are paying their own bills and they believe themselves to be boss women. They don't need a man. They don't need a husband. They don't need kids. They're gonna be self-sustainable. They don't realize that early retirement is not an option. Right, you're not going to retire at $48,000 a year or $50,000 a year at 45. You're not doing that.
Absolutely not.
Chances are, when you do hit the age of retirement, 65, you're not going to have enough invested or enough saved to be able to retire comfortably.
Well, I mean, I will.
You see, you're an exception to the rule, right? So you're in the top, of all women, probably in the top 5%, maybe higher. But that's rare, right? We're talking about the majority of women who have your mindset, who haven't achieved your level of success. What are they going to do?
So,
And they don't realize it.
I mean, to that question though, like,
I don't even.
the end game, like, at what point in your life are you like, all right,
It's
I'm
interesting.
satisfied.
It's
I can walk
interesting,
away from this. I can walk away from not working. I could walk away and just retire, and every day is Saturday. Like,
It's interesting because I say that I want to retire, whatnot, but I would get bored. So I'd love to travel, obviously, but I think I would get bored.
I mean, like anything though, I would assume that traveling would just get old.
Yeah.
I lived the
it-
life
it
of traveling
would.
for a while, and
Oh, I know you did.
yeah, and that, I actually look forward to coming back and hanging with my homie, or
Right.
seeing my girl. Like,
Right.
Right. Some places were better than others, but like the being satisfied, or like when is enough. Like, I feel like anybody that is in your position of focused on, if you want to call it making an impact,
Right.
that I don't know if you would and this is my view, but I don't know if you would ever actually retire, because
Probably not.
if you make your money and you get out there and you do what you got to do, like you.
Well, there's certain things, like there's certain satisfactions that can't be bought. I'll give you an example.
Right, but I feel like you would do volunteer work or something.
Right?
Like
Yeah,
that there
I
and
definitely.
beyond.
I would.
So you're involved.
Yeah, I would do something like this. But like for example, so 1099, but we're gonna hire Brooke's sister.
Right.
And I was talking to her the other day. Actually, it was yesterday, because I was getting ready, running around, doing things, getting ready for the party, and I had this matter I had to tend to, and she took care of it for me, and I was like so relieved. And she's like, Amber, I'm just so grateful, that you've given me this opportunity. With she has a flexible schedule, blah blah blah. She was like cleaning houses on the side. Her and her husband don't make a ton of money. So they were kind of struggling a little bit. She's
You were doing her a solid.
So, but she's like, since I started working with you guys, we're getting ahead, and it makes me feel really good to help someone if I can. So, those are little satisfactions that
It's a very commendable trait.
I wouldn't want to get rid of that. Like the company will probably stay around for as long as it can, and if I'd probably just hire somebody to run it, like I was saying earlier, like a general manager of some sort. So
how do you nurture that feeling?
I guess I volunteer work, like just I feel blessed. God's blessed me with a lot, and I want to spread the love.
Well, you said you wanted to focus on interior design.
Yeah, that's
my
so
you'll be able to do more with
right.
that. As you free up this
that is
time.
My goal.
Yeah. So like that's like and that goes back to listening.
Mm-hmm.
So like I was listening, and I was like, she wants to focus on interior design. That's awesome, man.
That's not even work for me at all. That's fun.
Exactly.
That's fun.
So that's what's coming eventually.
Yes.
We're speaking that into existence. Like that's
absolutely.
coming.
We've been talking about that for a while, and I'm not sure, I think Brooke wants to build apps or something.
Yeah.
Something like this.
These are things you can do through retirement,
Oh, yeah.
Right. So when I say retire, I just mean like, it's
like
not
retire from like the grind.
Yeah, correct.
And
So
kind of
retire from
focus
the
on
grind.
your passion. Yeah.
That is
like-
exactly right.
Like the
Problem
business
is-
that I'm getting off the ground now, like the beautiful thing is that I can do this well into retirement and still really enjoy it. Which
Yes.
It's a complete win.
And
There we
hopefully
go.
you and I can team up.
Oh no, we got
yeah.
you.
Okay.
We got you.
Wow.
There it is.
Look at that. Look at that.
Collaboration right there. Yeah.
Keep it in the family. I love
Yeah,
that.
for real.
So cool, man.
Brooke's on board too, by the way, in case I never.
That's
I never
fantastic.
told you that. We'll have to get some dinner though, at some point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Chat.
I just want to
You guys are
point out.
doers.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, Chris. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Dave.
I just wanted to point out like 3 key points that she brought up as
please do.
as a woman leader, and one of the first things she said is I had to learn to tone down my ego. She said, I had to learn that I'm not always right, and she's like, and I had to learn to listen. So like these are great tips for women leaders. And then we talked about the overcompensation. I want women leaders to understand that don't get caught up in that overcompensation,
Right.
man.
Right.
And
That comes from a negative place.
exactly,
Yep.
So-
exactly, and then lose focus on what
What's the important
what's
message?
the important message is. So I think out of everything that we spoke about, those are the things to like bring it home to the audience.
Yeah, I dig.
So I appreciate y'all like filling around to get those things out there, man.
Well, and I think it's beautiful that like a woman is strong in the workforce
too.
and puts herself out there, and she's willing to take that risk.
Me too, bro.
There definitely needs to be a balance, and I don't say this because it's a woman doing it. I feel like that needs to be a balance between both genders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's admirable, man. I respect that, man. And that was something else that we spoke about as well, though. Me and Chris is like sometimes this is a problem with the boss chick. I would like to call it something else, like something better. I don't know what's a better name.
Female CEO.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. You end up sometimes having you end up attracting somebody that is not a boss type person, and then that can turn into there's a terminology out there that Chris said that was pretty funny. It's called a son husband.
Oh, yeah. So we talked about the idea of a son husband, right?
Oh, please
do tell.
elaborate.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
dude.
This is really interesting though.
yeah, so it's an interesting concept, and it's known by a small I guess community on the internet. Anyway, the idea behind the son husband, there are two ways that this can work, right? And so one is it's typically where a woman, a single mom, has a son. Her son excels. Maybe he is an athlete or an entertainer or a rapper, whatever it is, makes a lot of money, and then he takes care of his mom. He does the things. He buys her a house. He does the things that maybe her husband.
What every boy
that is a real
dreams
thing.
of doing at some point.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and I mean it's a nice thing, but there are some negative aspects to it where the son is somewhat emasculated, and he feels like he owes everything to his mom, which to some degree might be true, but not necessarily, right? And so he compensates for the mother's lack of a husband, and he becomes what's called the son husband. But then there's the other way that the son husband can manifest itself. It's where the woman actually has a husband or a man in her life who is essentially her dependent. And so she's the primary provider and the protector, and he's sort of he doesn't offer that as his value, and so he becomes her dependent, essentially her son in that relationship, right? She kind of treats him as a dependent. She treats him as such, right? So it's a weird dynamic.
Yikes.
Right. So this is the thing. It manifests itself, and David and I, we talked about it. Neither one of those scenarios is ideal, especially the second one. Where you're with you're with someone that you view as a dependent, you view as someone that you can control, and you're in that relationship not particularly out of a respect thing, but it's more of I have this person and I can control him, and he's dependent on me. So yeah, the son husband thing it's a phenomenon. It's happening. It's a modern day thing. I think a lot of men.
How do you invite yourself to that though?
Well,
you have to be pretty insecure about yourself to get into that situation.
A lot of
Exactly
men
what I was thinking.
There's a lot of insecure men out there though.
Yeah, they're not capable.
100%.
They're not hard workers. They're not.
Yeah, there it is.
So they'll latch on to
that money train.
It's the whole
And not,
sort of
not
like
the dollar bill aspect, but the money train in terms of.
How do you start identifying those people? Because I want to steer clear from those
if they're not a hard worker, I think he just said it.
This is why I always go
if
for
you
driven
focus
people.
on exactly.
Yeah.
If they're not a hard worker, then most likely they have the potential to
Most
be a
likely
son
you have
husband.
a son husband.
You could have one, and then what happens when you have that son husband is naturally you start to lose respect for him. You don't admire him.
Your relationship
do
just
you really
deteriorates
want,
every day.
It's super unattractive.
Yeah, it's like, do
gotta
you really want to
affect
be
your
with
sex
a
life.
man that you don't respect or admire? Most likely not, and that's what we were talking about. He's like, Chris was saying like the end game for some boss chicks, not all, is taking care of a young man that they don't respect or admire, and that's not good.
No.
So that what is like nobody wants that.
And the thing is, it's due to the fact that so you have the boss chick, she's independent, she's highly successful, and we were talking about what attracts us to each other, and typically it's what complements each other.
Yeah.
So if you have a dude who's highly successful, he's in the top 1%. What he's looking for is not the mirror image of himself. He's not looking for the female version of himself, because that's not complimentary. That is, we're the same. But that guy is looking for
The same will get old quick.
Yeah, so he's looking for what complements him. And if he's super masculine and he's super driven and he's super successful, what
nurturing,
he's looking for the opposite, the nurturing, the caregiving, the loving, right? So he's looking for a more feminine partner. Typically, all right. I'm not saying that's always the case, but typically, 90%
I could see
90% of the time. So when you become this boss babe and you're highly successful, you make hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars, whatever it is, and
Got billions.
What
of
are you
dollars,
gonna
got
attract?
billions.
What kind of guy are you gonna attract? If if what I said is
like
true,
a
generally
Kevin
true.
Federline.
Yeah. Probably, right? What kind of guys are you gonna attract?
Why?
You're gonna attract the
that dude
highly
can dance, though.
attractive.
Yeah, dude, he's set for life.
You're gonna attract the highly attractive guys with the great D game, the great.
That's probably why I'm in this situation.
Oh, interesting. Wow. Well,
I know that's
hopefully-
where you're going with
Hopefully,
this.
no. We're not. No.
We're not going anywhere.
No,
But
we're just like.
You're probably
just
right.
bringing light to
to a real topic?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, you're probably
Exactly.
right.
Yeah,
Makes-
that's
makes
interesting,
sense.
man. Like this stuff is. Oh,
Or you're
man.
gonna get a hot chick. No, or you
Ooh,
could
I
do
could
that.
do that.
You can do that.
Or both.
yeah,
Hmm.
or both.
You'll let
So
me have a
actually,
hot chick on the
where
side.
where is that's a great question. I feel like we should pose on
What's
here.
that?
So the digital environment of dating as a
Oh yeah, we were
like a female CEO, right?
Oh,
so
wow. Ooh,
like
that is a great.
how is it like? How much of yourself do you expose if you're like, say, if you're on like a Bumble or something like that? Like, how do you put yourself out there?
Well, it asks
you
your
don't-
title or whatever you put it on there. People are usually attracted to it, but
Yeah, but don't you have to be delicate with putting that out there? And
I don't put
maybe-
the name of my business. It's just entrepreneur or whatever.
Is
President.
there higher level dating apps that maybe you don't even deal with Bumble?
Oh, I don't know.
Or is
There-
it?
There are. There are. Some
There are.
Paid, there are paid dating apps.
Okay,
Like,
so
yeah.
like
Most
maybe like a someone in her position, you if
So
you
instead
were
of like farmers.com, it's like CEOs.com.
there are definitely
comparison.
dating apps
Yo.
that are for a higher clientele, and you have to pay to have a
There you
profile
go.
there, and you also have to be sort of vetted, right? They're going to ask you to provide.
Interesting.
proof.
I didn't. That's
There are
new
dating-
news
yeah.
to me.
what
So-
what is the name of one of them? Do you know?
I'm
We'd have
not.
to do
I'm
some
not on
research.
dating apps.
Oh,
We'd
yeah,
have
me
to do some
neither.
research, but I think there. I know for a fact. I've heard people talk about dating apps that are for higher profile.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it takes it's a process to get
Doesn't surprise me
vetted
at all.
to
Yeah.
be allowed on there.
Actually,
Yeah, it
that's not a bad idea.
It's-
I would
yeah.
think, from my perspective, I don't think that's a bad idea.
Well, you get what you pay for, right?
At
So-
that point,
Yeah.
I'd just rather get a matchmaker or something. Is that still a thing?
that is still a thing. Matchmakers are still.
Yeah, you
a
ever see
thing.
that show,
Yeah.
Millionaire Matchmaker?
No, I never. Is that
It was a TV show. I don't do reality
Like a
TV.
yeah, that's-
Bravo kind of a
That's some
thing,
straight
but-
up reality garbage right there.
Yeah.
We know what she binge
No,
watches
there
now.
are
Ah.
there are dating
You know
coaches
what?
out there. There's a matchmakers you can find. Yeah.
Every once in a while, you just want to shut your brain off for a little bit.
For
watch a
real,
little
I
garbage.
understand that.
That's what
I
the
understand
Discovery
that.
Channel's for.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do
for
like
me
a
at
good
least.
Shark Week.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, reruns of Deadliest Catch. Let's
Deadliest
go.
Catch and gold. What is it? Gold Rush.
Yeah, and Gold Rush. Yeah, he knows me. We lived together for a long time.
I'm more of a
Wow.
Seinfeld kind of,
Okay, yeah.
Kinda
I was
deal.
more of a Becker guy when it came to like sitcoms.
man.
I love Becker. Just that dry sense of humor is just that's
That's funny.
that's my
Yeah.
deal.
Maybe a little
Bread
cheers.
and butter.
Oh yeah,
Cheers
yeah.
is great. Yeah.
I understand that though. Sometimes you just want to turn off your brain
Absolutely.
and
Sure.
just
When
watch
you're
something
when you have to
that-
be on all the time.
Yeah, especially someone in your position,
Yeah.
or all you guys' positions.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
from a health standpoint, being a female CEO, how do you turn your brain off? I mean, outside of just watching like reality TV,
Oh,
but
well,
you probably have
As
other
you-
outlets.
As you know, I go to the gym quite a bit, so
Okay.
that's always a good release. I mean, that's for anyone, really. I mean,
One of the best outlets.
Yeah.
honestly, man. Or
absolutely. Like
riding
people-
bike, like something.
Yeah,
that's.
I do
like-
spend. I mean, we were talking about Peloton earlier.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really do actually want to buy one. I really
You
enjoy
really
it.
should.
He swears by it, man. You
yeah.
should get
It's-
a yo.
Oh,
we should
yeah.
get a sponsorship for that
You
on this
probably
show.
should. It's
Because you talk about it all the time.
It's one of
bro.
the
Oh, I
best
love
investments
Peloton.
I've ever made.
Bro.
How much are they now?
You got
well, you
$1,500.
You got two options now. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can get one for $1,500, and then you can get like the advanced bike for
Or like
2,000.
19 or something. Yeah.
exactly.
That's not that bad at all. I know there's a monthly subscription or something.
There is.
with
I think
it,
it's like
but-
$40 a month or something like that. You know,
Oh, man,
You
that's-
got
35,
this new
40.
program called Lane Break on there that man I've been hitting up here lately.
I'm gonna
and,
do that tomorrow. I keep forgetting to do that.
It's I mean I like it. I mean there's something to be said where you pick your instructor and you're in a live class or a pre-recorded class and you're biking, you're like, all right, I'm gonna beat this instructor, but That's I mean,
Well,
it's not
we
a
can-
thing,
yeah,
but
we
you're
can ride
competing
against-
against the people that are
We
in
can
the
all
class
ride
with you.
against each other if you.
Yeah, but this guy's
I'm
a
gonna
freaking
destroy you.
dinosaur, man. Like
I
he
know,
just
I'm a little bit scared about.
he
Kenny, though.
survived the meteor. Like this guy knows how to make it. Like he goes
Stamina.
into these classes.
Stamina's
Yeah,
strong.
I
Okay,
mean,
all right.
Oh man, you'll sweat your
I'm
ass
like-
off on that
I
thing.
do-
5
oh
minutes
my
in,
God.
and I'm like,
Dripping.
nah,
It's
bro,
like a
I'm,
puddle. Yeah.
I'm gonna go take a nap now.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. You can catch all of our episodes on YouTube and Spotify at Better Gents Podcast, and follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at Better Gents Pod. Thank you and take care.